everyone, it's Catherine and I'm back for day 4 of my digital daily planner series, and this was my day yesterday. So this was all covered in my previous video. So now before I start with day 4, I'm going to go to my monthly calendar and fill in my picture for the day. Now I haven't edited this picture yet and I'm going to in just a little bit, but what I want to do right off the bat is I want to duplicate this page so I can correct a few things that I'm not really happy with. So first I'm going to duplicate this page because I've imported these pictures on top of this calendar, and this calendar itself, if you watch my November Plan With Me video, you know that this is an image as well rather than just my page. So I'm going to go to my 4 boxes up here, and this page is already selected, so I'm going to click on edit, and then I'm going to click on this page, and I'm going to click on copy, and now I'm going to click on done. I'm going to click this plus sign, and then I'm going to insert this page right after the calendar, so it will be directly behind it. So now I'll have 2 copies back to back. So I'm going to click on that plus sign to the right of the calendar, and I'm going to click on paste copy pages. So now I've got 2. So now I'm going to click on done, and I'm going to go back to this page right here, and I'm going to delete everything on this page. So I'm going to do that by selecting my lasso tool, and I'm going to turn my lasso tool on so it's going to select my handwriting, images, and text boxes. And now I'm just going to draw a gigantic circle so it selects everything, and I'm going to click in the center of it, and I'm going to click on delete. So now this is just totally blank again. So now I'm going to go back into Procreate, and I'm actually pretty terrible at remembering to delete my canvases. Like if you scroll down, I've got tons of canvases, and I don't really stack them very often because I don't like the look of the stacked canvases as much. They've gotten a little bit better, but I actually need to come through here and delete some of this stuff. So here's the calendar that I worked on the other day though. It's right here, and it's got all of my layers. So unfortunately, when I originally worked on this calendar, I grouped each section together. So one of the things that I wanted to fix was how crooked this is right here. So what I'm going to do, I am going to try to just draw a shape around this and delete it. So this is how I'm going to do that. I'm going to go to that layer, which is layer number 4, and then I'm going to select my ribbon. So now I'm going to zoom in as close as I can, but where I can still see the whole thing. And I'm just going to very carefully draw a line right here. Okay, I did the wrong thing. This is not something that I do very often, so I've kind of put it out of my brain, but now I remember exactly what I'm supposed to do. And I need to start over because I accidentally got some of the line underneath it. So now I'm going to come back and draw a shape around it again. Okay, so now I'm going to select this arrow, and I can move this away from all of the other text. So when I look at my layers, you can see that it's still technically on that layer, but this is going to make it much easier to erase since it's not right in between and very close to the line above it and the line below it. So now I can select my eraser, and I'm going to make it pretty big, and then I'm just going to erase that very quickly. So now when I look at my layer, it's back to just that list. So I'm going to create a new layer, and I'm going to rewrite sort Ella's clothes. And then once I'm happy with it, I'll merge it with the existing layer. Okay, so now I need to adjust the width of that so it fits in the box. And now I'm going to zoom out. And that looks a little bit more clean. This line is a little bit crooked, but that's not as severe as this line originally was, so I'm fine with that. So now I'm going to merge this down, and I'm going to merge the layer down by clicking on my new layer, and then it's directly above the layer that I want to merge it with, so that's very important, that it's directly above that layer. And then you can select merge down, and now it's turned both of those layers into one. So another thing that I want to do with this calendar, I want to shrink down the size of my numbers. So when I originally did this, I actually put the November header and the numbers on the same layer, but now I need to change that as well so I can only shrink the numbers because I love the size of the November. So the easiest way to do that is, again, I'm going to select the layer with my numbers and my header, and I'm going to zoom in on November. I'm going to go back to my ribbon tool, and I'm going to draw a shape around it. So now I'm going to come down here and I'm going to click Duplicate Contents. So now when I go to my layers, you'll see November is on its own layer. But I'm briefly going to hide that by unchecking this box right here. And then I'm going to go back to my numbers and November header layer. And now I'm just going to erase November. So again, you'll see now this layer is just the numbers and it's not the header. So I'm going to do it one more little sweep through just to make sure I got everything. And there it goes. Okay, so now I can turn my November layer back on and my header is still there on its own layer. And now I can strictly adjust these numbers. So to do that, I'm already on my numbers layer and I'm just going to select this arrow and I'm going to click magnetic so it stays proportional, and then I'm just going to size. Okay, so I've sized them down. I'm happier with the size, but I'm going to have to do some replacement. So again, I'm going to keep everything on the same layer, but I'm just going to move things where they need to be moved. So first, I'm going to try this 2 different ways. First, I'm just going to select the numbers 1 through 4 and try to move those. This one started on a Thursday. And okay, so that's not going to work. So I'm going to have to select each number one by one. So 1 is already where it needs to be because I just moved it. So now I'm going to select 2 and move it. And I'm just going to do this for each number until my calendar is properly dated again. Actually, I thought I was going to do that, but I think I'm just going to draw in the numbers so my pictures will fit a little bit better. I love these number dots, and I'm going to link to the November pack where I got these number dots, but I think I just want to write the numbers because I've just had a hard time fitting my pictures in. When I originally placed those numbers, when I was laying out this calendar, I thought I was going to do like an inspirational word or short quote per day. But then I ended up deciding to do a picture a day. But that was after I had already placed all that. So now those dots make it hard to do the picture a day. And I'm doing all of these just on the same layer because I'm just eyeballing it with placement. Okay, I'm going to turn off the drawing guides because those are a little distracting now. And yeah, I think this is going to work out a little bit better for my picture a day. So now I'm just going to save this to my camera roll. And I'm going to bring it back in to this page in GoodNotes. Okay, so I need to move it a little bit. I didn't size it exact. Let's see, I'm going to select resize and then just make it a tiny, tiny bit smaller. And that looks good. So now I want to get those other pictures back that I've already cropped to fit these boxes. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to make sure this icon right here is selected. That's the pen with the line through it, and I'm going to swipe. So now on this page, I need to first delete this entire calendar because it's big, and if I go to select this image, it's going to actually just drag the calendar. So now I'm going to just select on this calendar only, and I'm going to click in the center and click delete. So now I'm just going to select these one by one. So first I'm going to go to this picture of Ella, and I'm going to draw a circle in it, and I'm going to click on the center of the circle, and then I'm going to click on copy. And then I have to go back to this tool to navigate my pages. So I'm back on this pen with a line through it tool, like a crossed out pen. I'm going to swipe back, and now on this page, I'm going to press down and hit paste. So now here is this picture, and I can bring it back in, and I'm actually going to click on it and click resize. And since GoodNotes makes you keep everything proportional, it's probably not going to resize that well. So I'm going to bring those other two pictures in and see how it looks, but I might end up reinserting the pictures now that I have a little more room to work with in those boxes. But let me just bring these other two pictures in to see what happens. I'm going to do one at a time, and the reason is because, like I was saying, this page is an image, so I don't want to try to be working with more than just these images. because I don't want to accidentally move my main calendar. Another thing that you can do, you can spend the whole month decorating your calendar in Procreate and then just use your digital planner for organizational purposes, because that's my favorite thing about GoodNotes, not the decorating in GoodNotes or the filling out in GoodNotes. I like to just use it to organize my pages, so after the month is over, I can just flip through and I can see all of my weeks and all that stuff. That's why when you watch my weekly Plan With Me videos, you see that I spend the entire week in Procreate filling out my weekly calendar, and then I bring it into GoodNotes at the very end. So it actually stays in Procreate for about a week before it's back in here. So looking at these, I believe I am just going to reinsert these images so they fit my new bigger boxes just a little bit better. So I'm going to do that now. First, I want to delete that duplicated page. So to do that, I'm just going to go to these 4 boxes, click on Edit, click on this white page right here, because that's the one I want to delete, and I'm going to click on Trash and move one page to Trash. And now select Done. So now I just have one monthly calendar again, and when I flip, it takes me directly to week 1 instead of a duplicated calendar. So I need to delete these images right here without deleting my main calendar. So I've got my lasso tool selected. So how I'm going to do that is, with my lasso tool selected, I'm just going to click and hold on this one image of Ella and click delete. And then delete, and see it just erase that one image rather than all of the images. So I'm going to do that again for this picture and again for this picture. So now I'm going to bring those back in from my camera roll because they are still on my camera roll. So I really just want her face, so I'm going to crop this image. And I've shown how to crop images in several other of these videos in this series, as well as in a separate tutorial that just focuses on cropping images in GoodNotes. So I will link to that tutorial in the video description in case you haven't seen any of my other videos in this series and you want to know how to crop an image in GoodNotes. I've got a full tutorial on how that works that you can find in the video description. Yeah, that looks better. I'm so glad. Whoops, I accidentally hit back. I'm so glad that I made it where I have more room on my boxes. Even though those dot stickers, like I was saying, looked cute, this just gives me a little bit more space. So that looks good to me. That looks better. And now I'm going to move to my 4th tab because I'm going to be decorating my page for November 4th. And I'm going to go ahead and swipe like I always do to that blank page. So I can just come right back in here and import my November 4th page. So now I'm going to go into Procreate. I'm going to go to my gallery and I'm going to start a new canvas for November 4th. So I need to do that by selecting this plus sign and then finding my 14" by 10" custom canvas size right here. And now I'm going to start writing the date. So I want to do something fun for this date. And in my last video, I'm sorry, there is something right there on my screen. I have no idea what that is, so I'm trying to get it off. Okay, so for my last video, I briefly discussed these watercolor brushes by Hewitt Avenue because I used the color palette that comes with those brushes in my last video. So today I'm actually going to use some of the actual watercolor brushes to write my date so you can see how cool they are. So first I'm going to turn on my drawing guides and I'm going to shrink down the grid size. And now I'm going to find those brushes. So here are the brushes that you get with the bundle pack. You can also purchase a bunch of these brushes in individual packs if you don't want the whole pack. I can't remember how much I paid for this pack. I purchased these on her website, but they're now available on Creative Market as well. So here is the Hewitt Avenue watercolor brushes. You also get watercolor banners. You get watercolor florals, which are really nice. These are stamps. Watercolor shapes, which I think is really cool, and I might play around with those in this video as well. And then the watercolor starter. So that's a few additional watercolor brushes, but I'm going to go back to just the regular larger set of watercolor brushes. And I am going to select this. I'm going to select the HA Base 3 Watercolor Monoline. So I'm thinking that the color that I want to use for the date is, I'm going to start with this darker color right here. I used this color a lot yesterday. And I'm going to just write November 4th, 2018. By the way, this is something that I have never mentioned in the other videos in this series because sometimes I forget that some people that may be watching this may not use Procreate. But if you want to adjust the size of your brush, you can do that in this panel right here. When you drag this up, it makes your brush huge. So this would be like the maximum thickness for that brush. And when you drag it down, it makes it thinner. So this right here would be the thinnest that you could get this brush. This other slider right here is for the opacity. And some brushes, the opacity feature doesn't work, some it does. So I'm not sure if it's going to work for this brush. But when you have that at the top level, that is as dark as your brush is going to get. And then when you drag it down, it makes the brush more transparent. So if you drag it all the way down, you can't even see where I'm writing, but I am writing. So I'm going to drag my opacity all the way up, and I'm going to just play around until I'm happy with how thick the brush is, which that's pretty good for what I have in mind. Okay, so now I'm going to write the date. Okay, so that looks pretty cool. You can see this brush just on its own, even with the maximum opacity turned all the way up. You can see where I stopped and started again. But I really like that about the brush. I think it's cool. I think it gives the text a little bit of a dimension. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to select another color. And let's see, I just used this color. So now I'm going to select this shade right here. I'm going to select this base 2 watercolor brush. And now I'm going to trace over everything that I just wrote in this lighter shade of blue. I want to make it a little thicker. And see how going over that, this brush is a little bit opaque as well. And it kind of, even though not fully, blends with the original brush that I used. And I actually want to make this brush a little thinner. It's a little too thick. And the method that I'm using, I'm making sure that I don't get out of the lines with my original lettering that's thicker, because I'm going to give this a fake watercolor effect. And so I feel like it's important to start with the darkest color and then come back on the inside of the lettering with a lighter color like I'm doing for the best look. But that is completely personal preference. You could really do this a ton of different ways. I just learned this way by experimenting. So you can always just experiment, figure out what you like, and then go from there. Okay, so now I'm going to zoom out, and this is what I've got so far. So let me merge everything. Okay, so now this is all combined. So now I'm going to start a new layer. I'm going to click this plus sign, and I'm going to select this really light green shade right here. So I'm going to go back to my brushes, and she has these wash brushes. She has wash brush 2 and wash brush 3. I'm going to select 2 for now, and I'm going to just stamp on the canvas. And you can see, like, the harder I press, the bigger the stamps are. And I'm just doing it over my lettering. I don't want to completely cover it. You can see how you can still see the lettering through it, but it also has this wash on top of it. So now I've got that wash on top of it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down here to layer number 1, which is where my date is written. And I'm going to click on it again, click on select. And now I'm going to click on this area to get rid of my layers panel. And then I'm going to come down here and click on invert selection. And then I'm going to go back to my wash layer. I'm going to click on it again, and click on clear. And now see how it kind of lightened it up? And there's little splotches of the lighter color now on top. See, when I turn that off, this is what it looks like when I turn it on. It's lightened it up a little bit. And I may even, let's see, I really like how this looks. So I'm going to go ahead and merge it down so this will still work. And now I'm going to create another layer, and I'm going to select a yellow color. And I've still got that wash brush number 2 selected. So on this new layer, I'm going to stamp again. Okay, so now again, I'm going to go here, select it, click on invert selection, click on clear, and I don't like that as much. Nope. See, that's why that's awesome that it's on another layer, because I can just delete that. And let me try it with a pink. I might like it with a pink. I would normally like that, okay, but I'm not a fan of it right now for what I have in mind for this page. So I'm going to try one more color. I'm going to try white, and then if that doesn't work, I'm going to keep it like it is because I don't hate what it is right now. Okay, so I like that, but the only problem is that my canvas is white, so it kind of clashes. So I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to add one of those watercolor banners behind it, and I'm going to do it in black because I actually like the look of black watercolor. So let me find black, and I'm going to create a new layer. I'm not going to merge this white layer with the blue layer yet in case I change my mind. So I'm just going to select both of those by, I've got my white layer selected now, so now I just need to drag to the right on my first layer and then click these lines to group those layers. So now I'm going to go to layer number 3, and I'm going to browse her watercolor banners, which are right here. And I like this one. Okay, so I stamped it, and it's stamped long ways. So now I'm just going to rotate it. And the way that I'm going to rotate it is I'm going to come up here to this arrow, and right down here, I'm going to click rotate 45 until it's horizontal. I need to drag this layer number 3 below this group so the date will be on top of the banner. So I'm going to click on this layer, press and hold, and then drag it down under the group. So now when I go to select it, it's behind the date. So I think it would look good to just place this in the center, which to get it centered, I'm going to go ahead and turn off this group, turn on my drawing guides, and count the boxes to each side to see how centered it is. So that's actually pretty centered. So now I can center my date with the banner. So I need to select that group. I think I want the banner to be a little bit more narrow. So, all right, yeah, that looks interesting. I like the watercolor take on that header. It's just something kind of fun. And I like the black watercolor background for the banner mixed with that blue or turquoise or whatever. Okay, so now I'm going to import a few pictures that I took that day. So again, I'm going to do something a little bit different. I actually need to edit these pictures. I'm not going to edit the brightness and color story today. I forgot to originally do that. So I'm going to edit them just in my camera roll. And this is Maddox. This was probably about like 20 minutes after he'd woken up, so he still got bedhead. And my daughter had been in her high chair, and we let her play with those Puffs containers when they're empty, so she had thrown that on the floor. So that's why our house is like messy right here. And she had thrown some of the Puffs on the floor as well. But he was inventing a new instrument. He took these wings off of a toy and was pretending that this was an instrument called I believe he called it a trube. And he was saying that he's about to put in his mouth was the reed, and then you blow into it and it makes a noise. And he is obsessed with music, like just completely obsessed with it. And we honestly think he's going to end up being a musician because he's really into the guitar. That's the main thing. On YouTube, all he wants to watch are videos of people playing the guitar. And he loves all kinds of music too. Anything from like country to metal to classical. Like I've caught him listening to all of it. One day I was walking by and he was sitting in the rocking chair, and I could tell he's listening to music, and I walked by and he was listening to AC/DC, which I still think is hilarious because I don't hate AC/DC, but I don't really listen to AC/DC. So he just listens to all kinds of stuff. And we really think, you know, in a few years, he's actually going to start to actually learn how to play instruments. But for now, he just pretends, he listens to music all day, and he makes up instruments as well. So that's my story about Maddox. So anyway, I'm going to crop this picture. I hate how it does that. Sometimes when you select crop, it automatically like tilts the picture for some reason. Okay. I guess I can't get rid of that puffs right there by doing this, but that's okay. So I've got that cropped. And now I need to crop these other pictures. This right here is just a meme that I saw and just reminded me of my husband. It's really cheesy, but I just came across it on Facebook, but me and my husband have so many inside jokes. So this says our system of inside jokes is so advanced that I can simply say a random word like cactus and you'll start laughing and being like, ha ha, he really is. And that makes me pretty happy because that really describes mine and my husband's relationship like to a T. There's just words, you know, we've been together for 9 years, so that's to be expected, but there's just words that we can just say them and it'll make us laugh because we know what we're referring to. So this was another thing that happened, and yes, I do have 90 unread text messages. But anyway, yesterday, so Maddox was watching his iPad and ended up falling asleep. He was listening to music on it, and Ella, I was on the couch, Maddox was in the recliner, and Ella fell asleep on me. So, you know, I've been talking about how Ella has not been sleeping very well, and so I've been sleep deprived from that. So I was not about to wake her up. But anyway, Maddox fell asleep with his iPad on, and my husband was in the other room. And Maddox's iPad, I don't know what he had selected on there, but it was playing the same song over and over. It was like a bunch of kids singing I Want to Dance with Somebody by Whitney Houston. And so by the time I had texted that to my husband, it had been going on for probably about 15 minutes already. And then it was another 30 minutes before I texted him that. And then I waited about 20 minutes and started texting him this GIF right here and that it was torture. And I said, please help. It's still going. So it was about like 30 to 45 minutes that I had to listen to kids singing I Want to Dance with Somebody on repeat while both of my kids were asleep because I was not going to wake up Ella. Like, I would endure that torture all day in order for Ella to have a good nap because I know she needed that nap. So anyway, I just thought this was a funny memory. So I'm just going to crop this part of the text message. Okay, so I'm going to go back into Procreate. I've got those images saved. And I'm going to do a little collage style thing over here. Let's see. I'm actually going to do what I did yesterday and build it in Photo Quilt. So I'm not going to rotate my iPad this time. I can just figure it out sideways, but let me pull those in. If you want to know how to use Photo Quilt, check out my video from yesterday. I'm going to link to the complete series of my daily digital planners in the video description, and it will be day number 3 where you can figure out how to do this. And if you look in the video description for not just this video, but all of the videos from this series, you'll be able to skip around to see the tutorials that I offer in each video. Yeah, that's the shape that I had in mind with the longer picture here in the 2 boxes. So I'm going to save that, save it as extra large. Now I'm going to go back to Procreate and pull it in from my camera roll. And I was going to place it over here because for some reason it's just a habit for me to always place pictures to the left. But I'm going to try to place them to the right today. I'm going to do something different. And this time I'm going to give this outline a pink border. So I'm going to select my favorite shade of pink. This is another thing that I show you in detail how to do in my video from yesterday. So those are my pictures. So yesterday, my parents came over to visit, and I meant to get a picture of that, but I didn't. So I'm going to write down that. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to experiment a little bit more with that PicsArt app that I played around with yesterday. If you watched the video from yesterday, you'll know that that ended up being a little bit of a disaster because it was my very first time playing around with it and using it. And so I didn't fully know what I was doing. So I eventually figured it out in that video. But today I actually know how to download the pictures right off the bat. So hopefully I will not spend as long in this app. But I'm going to find like a list. Let me see what happens when I type in list. What happens when I type in Post-it. Which I know Post-it is a brand and not an actual item. So maybe I could type in Sticky Note. Even though I like these right there, but let me type in Sticky Note. I kind of like this right here. Yeah, I like this. I'm going to click on Apply and select the transparent background. And now I'm going to select Apply again. And next, it's It's going to make me go into my settings and give permission to this app. So now I can go down here to save to device, and it saved it to my camera roll. So now I'm going to select done, and I'm going to close out of this app and go back into Procreate and now bring it in from my camera roll, and I'm going to edit this a little bit. All right, so I kind of want to change these black lines to pink. I don't know if this is going to work, but we're going to try it, and if it doesn't work, it's not a big deal. That's good enough. It's a little bit pixelated because this image is kind of pixelated, but it's free, so that doesn't really bother me. So I think when I shrink it down, that'll look cool though. And then let me figure out another color. I'm gonna write in green because that's my mom's favorite color. I'm gonna write down Mom and Dad came over. So my husband and I both went through Maddox's clothes. He sorted the sizes for me while I played with the kids, and then later I went through and decided what was kind of unisex that I could keep for Ella and what needed to go. So I'm kind of minimalistic in a way, so I kind of like this hanger right here. If it was Ella's clothes, I would use something like that. That is such a cute image. That would make a super cute sticker. I kind of want something that fits Maddox's personality a little bit more. I like these ties. I'm going to use these ties. So I'm going to click apply, background image, or transparent background. And that has all kinds of crap around it. So after I select this, I'm going to show you how you can delete the background from an image because I don't want all this white space. So now I'm going to click apply, and I'm going to click on next, and I'm going to click on save to device, and it saved it to my camera roll. So now I'm going to pull up an app called Magic Eraser. I have a full tutorial on this. I'm not going to, again, move my iPad to put it in portrait mode because this only works in portrait mode, but I will link to this full tutorial if you want to see it in a little bit slower detail. You can go to my video description and click on that tutorial and see the full tutorial on this. But I'm pulling it in to this app called Magic Eraser, and it's going to make me watch a 5-second ad. This is how they just generate their revenue since the app is free. So now I'm here. Here is all of my pictures. So I'm going to select that picture of the ties, and I don't need to crop it. It's fine. And so now I'm just going to click the white area. And so that got rid of all of that white space. So now it has a transparent background. So now I'm going to click this box, and I want to select the PNG with the transparent background. So I'm going to click there. You know what? I'm actually seeing now that it has kind of this weird outline around it. So I'm going to try to delete that. But if that doesn't delete, I can always fix that in Procreate. Okay. So it didn't delete this outline. I can't zoom in, but it has a weird outline. So I'm going to select that PNG, and I'm going to select high resolution. And now I'm going to pull that into Procreate and see that kind of funky outline right here. So the way that I can fix this, I'm going to turn off all of my other layers. I don't have a lot of layers. I can actually merge these. So now I can easily turn off all of my other layers so I'm not distracted by anything. And I just have this image turned on. So now what I want to do to get rid of those little lines right there, I can either erase them, or I can just quickly select the part of the image that I want to keep. I'm just freehanding a shape around it, and I'm trying not to get any of that dark outline right there, which it's only hard right above the ties, but the rest of it's pretty easy to do. Okay, so I've got that. So now I'm going to select duplicate contents. And now I'm going to delete that original layer, and all that extra stuff is gone. So now I can turn back on my other layers. I'm going to size this down. If it were up to me, I would change the color of the ties. I'm just going to keep the ties what they are. Now I'm going to use one of my rectangle planner sticker stamps. And there will be a link to these in the video description. I'm going to size that. This is actually not typically my style. I'm a little bit more feminine, but it's just kind of fun every now and then to play around with things that are a little bit different than what you would normally do. So anyway, I'm placing that there, and now it looks more like a sticker, which is what I wanted. And now I'm going to write down that we went through Maddox's clothes, and I'm going to write it in white. And good enough. I'm not just loving this page because, like I was saying, it's not my normal style, but it's good enough. So I also edited a video. It took me a lot longer than it normally does to edit my YouTube video yesterday because the kids were a little fussy. So I'm going to write down that I spent a good portion of the day doing that. I'm trying to find, you know, it wasn't a movie. I think I just called it a movie a few minutes ago. It was a YouTube video. I'm just going to keep it what it is. But on top of it, in this pink, I'm going to write edited YouTube video. Yeah, that looks pretty cool. I'm going to try one more thing. I'm going to come in behind this and do another one of my planner sticker stamps. Yeah, I just like doing that because it gives it more of the effect of an actual sticker rather than just a little bit of clip art. Okay, so what else do I want to write? I watched Station 19 last night. So let me find an image for that. I don't just love Station 19, you know. I really like Grey's Anatomy, so that's why I'm watching it, because they apparently do a lot of crossover episodes, but I don't just love it. I like some of the characters, though. Like, I've always liked Ben Warren on Grey's Anatomy, and I can't even, I'm only like 3 episodes into it, so I can't even remember the other characters' names on the show, but I like some of the characters on it for sure, so I think, you know, it will grow on me a little bit more, because right now I'm just like, but it's worth it to see the crossover stuff. So I'm just going to bring in this image. That actually fits perfectly right there. I don't even have to resize it. And I'm just going to write Cracker Barrel because I had Cracker Barrel for dinner, and I love Cracker Barrel. Actually, when I was pregnant with Maddox in 2014, I was obsessed with Cracker Barrel. It's all that I craved. Like, it's all I wanted to eat. I would eat it for breakfast, lunch, and dinner some days. Because I would go there and I would want to get their breakfast. I would want to get some fried eggs and like some pancakes and stuff like that. And then by lunchtime, I would want one of their vegetable plates. Because I'm not like big on meat or anything, but their macaroni and cheese and hash brown casserole and stuff like that, it is so good. I'm from Alabama, if you can't tell by my southern accent. And meat in 3 places, any type of meat in 3 food is so good. But I'm the type of person that I go to a meat in 3 place and I just skip the meat and just get a vegetable plate. So my parents, they stopped at Cracker Barrel on the way to our house, so they just brought me a plate to go. It was amazing. I've written that way too wide, so I wish I was talented enough to start backwards, because I could probably make that work better, but I'm not. So for some reason, I can't think how to spell barrel, Cracker Barrel. It's 1 L. For some reason, I was like, is there 2 L's or 1 L at the end? I used to be really good at spelling, and then autocorrect has ruined me, and now I can't spell very well anymore, and I rely on autocorrect, which autocorrect fails me half the time anyway, because even when I spell a word right, it wants to change that to another word. Like, for example, my phone is always changing the word that to they, even when it makes no sense whatsoever, and it just infuriates me. So that's filled in. I like it. I mean, I don't hate it. It's not my normal style, but it's interesting and it's different and it's just another day. So, I'm going to save this and I'm going to bring this back into GoodNotes. So there it is. I think that looks pretty good. So this month I'm hoping to get my sublimation printer all ready to go and start offering some more mugs and stuff in my Etsy shop. So hopefully when I do that and I get my office a little more set up, I'll have more to write about on my days. But for now, I just live minute by minute with my kids. So, you know, I do like the theme that I'm doing with this where every day is kind of like a collage. So I will continue with that. But some days in the near future, there will be more to fill in than just a few little things. So make sure you subscribe to my channel if you want to continue watching this series so you'll be alerted every time I upload a new video, or subscribe to my channel if you're interested in seeing digital planning tutorials and digital plan with me videos. And check out my website, naptimealt.com, where there's tons of planner related freebies that you can download now.